Hello, this is Soul, and welcome back to another episode of Warcraft Weekly, the show that could have been live, but it wasn't. Oh well. Let's get right to the news, starting with the headliner, some potentially big news for the future of WoW. In a tweet, lead rewards designer Russ Peterson pointed out an open position for an associate system designer with a focus on professions in the world of Warcraft with some ambitious plans. Anyone who's been paying attention the past few weeks will have noticed Blizzard has been aggressively hiring. I presume this is part of Bobby Kotick's statements from a while back about expanding all of its development teams across pretty much every franchise. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're backfilling positions for people who've either left the company or were ejected from it over the past few weeks and months. This particular position may involve multiple hires, and it's not even limited to those with entry-level experience. Mid to senior level positions may be available too. This tells me that the WoW team has big plans for professions in the future, but before we get to the speculating, thank freaking goodness, I've been a big critic of professions over the past few expansions. Now, I do love the big revamp that they did with segmenting professions into individual proficiencies per expansion, but especially with Shadowlands, it seems like it was one of the many features that had to be cut back in order to make launch. Some of you may remember the kind of supplemental attachments that we could put on gear during the alpha for Shadowlands before that was eventually phased out. Right now, professions feel very minimal. Outside of consumables, professions are legendary reagent producers pretty much. There's a lot missing. Like for me, it's that feeling of creating a very cool thing that lets people know that, yeah, I'm a blacksmith and an engineer, but I just can't make very many useful items. Back in the day, I worked pretty hard on being able to make a noodle cart for my team. I wouldn't bat an eye if there was an opportunity for me to upgrade this thing for current content. But now we've got to wonder, what is the team planning? This tweet thread suggests that they've got an idea already in place, and it's time to put together a team to make this into a playable reality. Now though, let's speculate. I've said numerous times that professions are the original expansion feature, like a series of optional activities that update a little bit with each patch, that offer rewards in the form of player power and cosmetics and are governed by the player economy. I'm wondering if, in the 10.0 expansion, if we see the efforts that went into like the Covenant and the Heart of Azeroth and artifacts and legendaries and corruptions and etc., and see that work poured into professions. I'm being very vague about this, but what if in the next expansion, what if we went heavily into the crafting side of the game, where players could craft special weapons and armor? Or if you don't like crafting and you like gathering, you can sell your stuff and then buy these things from crafters. Or if you don't like that either, NPCs can help you with that too. And then of course there's what I've been asking for years.
Debauchery sex parties.
No. I mean player housing. Could this be it? Could the time finally have come for the World of Warcraft to enter the arena of traditional player housing? This would be super epic. It could potentially involve like every area of the game, and it would involve every profession. Imagine if herbalism was upgraded so that now you can also knock down trees, and trees of every sort were added to every zone in every expansion. Rare materials and recipes are added to legacy dungeons and raids, and achievements can unlock recipes, and I can finally fulfill my dream of a long hallway with like racks and racks of armor sets, and all of these racks are set to random. And I think I should stop there. But boy, it's hard. 10.0 is a long way off, don't get me wrong, but this news leaves the impression on me that the WoW team is still very serious about delivering on a good experience, and Blizzard is willing to invest into it. But with that, I turn that over to you folks. What are you getting from this news, and what are you hoping to see? Let's go over highlights over the 9.15 build that dropped this week. This is once again a lighter build, and once again a bunch of quality of life changes to add to the pile. It sounds like the fixes that came to the Breaking the Chains meta achievement put the WoW team in a certain mood. Now they're going back to the Mecha Done meta achievement to make it easier to complete, increasing drop and respawn rates and making requirements more accessible overall. Lightforged Draenei Paladins have a unique looking class mount now, the Lightforged Ruin Strider. It looks really awesome. Like now they get a cool unique mount just like the Blood Elf Charger. Okay, so they're like a little different. No, I'm not depressed over this, stop it. Korthia updates are still happening, this time by increasing the amount of relics that drop from many sources. More of those smelly purple highlighted mobs will be showing up. Rares can be continuously farmed for relics where before it was subject to a daily lockout. More purple caches can be found in the zone too. A new weekly quest will be available across your account as long as at least one of your characters reached tier 4 of the codex. I tested this out on the PTR and here I'll share my findings. It's a simple quest to enter the Rift version of Korthia and kill mobs to collect 25 of these items. It's a pretty slow process, just grinding them out by killing mobs, but the hidden Rift caches in Korthia give 4 to 5 of these items, so this is definitely the way to go for completing this quest. When turning this in, it also gives credit towards the Shaping Fate weekly quest. Between this and the relic and reputation bonuses that have been added throughout this test cycle, it's still Korthia. I mean, you can call it Chorthia, real clever, but with all these added rewards, it's like you're getting a cornucorthia of stuff. Please clap. Something new that was added in this build, it looks like the top 1% of Mythic Plus people based on your score are going to get an achievement and the title. The title is called the Tormented Hero. Very cool. Very not ever gonna get it myself, but very cool. Here's what bugs me a little bit though. The criteria is based on the top players per faction, which I'm not so fond of. Let me explain my thought process. I think this achievement would be cooler if it was separated into classes rather than the two factions. This gives an opportunity for all the classes to be equally represented. It also feels a little bit janky, knowing that if the game counted the 0.1% of players without considering faction, Horde races would vastly outnumber Alliance races given the current numbers. Now I can say, oh, this is a way to encourage some players to switch to the other faction solely to win the title, which I'm sure is crossing the minds of some dedicated teams. And let's be clear, this is an achievement for the best of the best. Not everyone is going to do this, clearly. But this cuts into a bigger conversation that I just can't let quiet down. The faction divide. I see this as this unnecessary problem that, among other things, it separates players from each other and it reduces the talent pool. It creates a sort of friction between wanting to play as a certain race and wanting to play with your friends. This achievement and title, it's really cool. It's something that top players have wanted since the inception of Mythic Plus, but it could be cooler. If the divide was somehow lifted in patch 915 and this achievement did not care about factions, because, that's no longer a thing, I'm sure we would see plenty of races from the Horde side represent the top players, but I bet you we would also start seeing a lot of mixed teams, like with an Orc, a Draenei, a Goblin, and 2 Elves. Like you wouldn't even be able to tell if they're a Blood Elf or a Void Elf. Over the past few weeks, we've started to see the WoW team exercise an agenda to make the game more inclusive. It started with hotfixes, the easy stuff that they could control with no impact to the game. Sooner or later, 915 will launch with numerous reference changes, but again, no real impact to the game. But I'm 100% that the time will come when the WoW team announces that players can group and guild together regardless of their choice of race. And then the ball will be in our court, and it'll be up to each of us how we respond to this massive change that will affect our gameplay. I'm definitely speaking for myself when I say that I'll embrace this in a heartbeat. A healer is a healer. I couldn't care less what race they're playing as, but if they dare say pop hero, I'm gonna mute them on chat instantly. For the Horde. One strange addition to this PTR build that made the rounds on social media, an account-wide token that gives 5,000 experience points to a follower, but it costs a whopping 10,000 anima. That's a lot of anima for what little you're getting, and it had people talking about, among other things, how out of touch Blizzard is by offering such an item at this high of a cost. Before I turn it over to you, here are a few of my thoughts. 1, the cost is, it's pretty damn high. 2, it's the PTR. I mean, sure, give your feedback, but really, quit tripping. 3, this has got to be an anima dump. Reason being is because 4, this item is for very specific people. Consider what's happening in patch 915. The ripcord is being pulled, we can switch to different covenants with a few clicks, we can transfer anima at a 1-to-1 ratio across alt, and for players like me who are interested in obtaining all the cosmetics they can on a single character, there's no such thing as an anima dump right now. I'm already gonna have a few max level troops that'll follow me to new covenant as I switch, so I can smash missions and get like the pets and cosmetics from the mission table with ease. So this token has some use for people with too much anima who want a little boost for low-level followers on their alts, where the use of this is most effective. Outside of that, you're better off buying those profession materials if you really want to get rid of your excess anima, and that's the show. This week you might have noticed I've done some streams over here on the YouTubes and I had fun. Folks came by to chat and to say hi, some of them for the first time, some who can't watch me on Twitch for whatever reason, and they were happy to hop onto here. We laughed, we joked, we talked smacked, and every now and then I played video games. Now that the week's done, I've decided that the experiment is over, and I really appreciate everyone who watched, even donated and became sponsors. That was really generous of you all, thank you. But next week we're going to be back at Twitch doing the usual thing at the usual time, and I'll have the highlights available over on our other channel. Now I could still really use your guys' help if you don't mind. There's a link to the clips channel in the description and somewhere in the corner here. If you could help me out and subscribe to that, it would mean a lot, believe me. I hope to kind of get back to a more stable routine starting next week. The past few weeks have been pretty darn hectic, and if you didn't notice this, good, I'm glad. You folks over at Twitch and YouTube have been extremely supportive, and I very much appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to Heather, our newest patron, and to everyone else here who made it to the end. Let's get back together next week, and until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.